Hello everybody, my name is Brian Kelley and welcome to another edition of Talk of the Town. We have a very special show for you today with a very special guest. I'm happy to say that our guest is Heidi Vaughan. You may know her from the Forbes House Museum and the director, I believe, for years. And so she's had a challenge in her life, you could say, challenge, and she has ALS. And I believe the proper pronunciation is amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. I think I have it there, okay? Or ALS. Some people have called it Lou Gehrig's disease. Mm-hmm. So we're going to talk a little bit about that because this is May, and May is ALS month.
Exactly.
So, all right, well, let's get started. Let me tell the people a little bit about ALS.
Sure.
Okay, so ALS is a progressive neurodegenerative disease that affects nerve cells in the brain and spinal cord, leading to muscle weakness, paralysis, and could cause respiratory failure. Many people refer to ALS as Lou Gehrig's disease because of the legendary baseball player Lou Gehrig, who got the disease back in 1939. But because of that, it became more well known. It gave special attention nationally to ALS. So we are in ALS Awareness Month, May, and organizations like the ALS Association and I Am ALS are, getting the word out so that they can fund research and things like that. All right, so Heidi, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
You got the blue? We didn't even coordinate this, I'm telling you.
Right. We're on the same wavelength, yes.
So, Heidi, tell me, this is about you, okay, and your journey. And so, I don't know if you want to start by talking about the disease and some of the myths around the disease and truths. Or, so why don't we do that? Okay. Share with us when you first started seeing, realizing you had symptoms and what led to your diagnosis.
Sure. It's kind of complicated. There were lots of different warning signs that I didn't pick up on until, looking back, I realized I had signs well before I was diagnosed. So I was diagnosed in February of 2023 when I was 53 years old, and I had weakness in my arm. I was getting some shoulder rehab, and I was lifting easy 2 or 4 pound bars up over my head. And I noticed it started getting harder to lift those bars. And so I thought, my arms are getting weaker. And that led to seeking out some help from doctors. Before that, however, I would go running frequently, never less than 3 miles, a 5K, never less than 3 miles. But then suddenly I wasn't able to do that. I would have to stop at 1 or 2. And my legs felt strangely weak. It was a different feeling than I felt before. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm really out of shape. I'm old. This is what life is going to be like. And then other warning signs were weird cramps, like in my stomach or in my feet or my hands. But it was the weakness in my arms that led me to see a doctor. So I went to my PCP, who referred me to a rheumatologist, and I had a muscle biopsy taken. That was abnormal. Then I don't even know what order. I had CAT scans, I had an EKG, which ultimately led to the diagnosis of ALS. So I started going for help in September of 2022. I was diagnosed finally in February of 2023.
Did they ever think it was Lyme disease at one time?
That did come up. Yeah, they tested for that. There was a lot of blood tests too along the way, yes.
So there's a common belief that ALS is strictly hereditary. Do you know anything about that?
Hereditary cases only account for about 10% of ALS cases. The others are what's called sporadic, which means they could pop up in anyone, and they believe it's a combination of genetics, environmental factors, and lifestyle, but they don't exactly know. It's more common in men, I think up until the age of 65 or something, and after that, the gender differences start to disappear. And most people are diagnosed at 60 or later, but people have been diagnosed in their 20s, in their 30s. So I feel like I'm kind of right in the middle.
Now, there's something I read. They have almost like the two types, two ways it can strike.
Yes.
Can you explain that?
Sure. So there's bulbar onset.
Bulbar.
B-U-L-B-A-R.
Okay.
And that's when people start having trouble speaking, usually, talking. And then there's limb onset. So that's what I have. That's how it manifested first in like my arms and legs.
So it happens in the limbs.
Correct. And I believe if it's bulbar onset, it tends to progress faster.
That's what I've read. So I'm glad you got the slower one.
I am.
Who was one of the people that lived the longest with it?
That would be Stephen Hawkins, I believe.
That's right. Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
And so hopefully you'll be granted, you'll be the next Stephen Hawkins.
Fingers crossed.
Do you know anything about black holes? Okay, let's see. And it can, some people believe it only impacts the muscles and things, but it can affect your cognitive functions too. But I think it's more the bulbar one.
Right, and along the way I've been involved in drug studies, and they do test cognitive function. And I don't know, I do find myself searching for silly words sometimes, but who knows
but
what
who
that
doesn't?
is.
It's the age, Heidi, come on.
I'm sure.
Okay, let's see here. So you answered those very well. All right, so tell people what you've experienced since that diagnosis. Tell them what's going on in your life and how you feel about it.
Okay. Let's see. So the first concession I had to make to the disease was getting a rollator or a walker. I was not so much, I guess I was unsteady, and it was getting harder and harder just to walk around. It was getting harder to go upstairs. I talked about how I first felt the weakness in my arms and shoulders, but for the most part, you can manage your daily tasks. But when the legs start to be affected, that's when I had to start looking for helpful tools. So, and I don't remember how long, my progression took from walking to a rollator. But then eventually I got a small, nimble wheelchair that I could use sometimes, and that was great. At first, I was hesitant. I had the wheelchair in advance because they always say you need to anticipate what's coming down the pipe so you're ready. So the wheelchair had been sitting in the corner of my house for a while, and I was kind of ignoring it. But then once I needed it, I was so grateful for it. And, it's like early on, I didn't want to be called handicapped or disabled, but now I fully accept that label. I absolutely am. I need help. I've learned that when things are handicapped accessible, they aren't always. So in December, we took a trip to New York City, to enjoy the holidays, and my father was setting up things, and he made sure to get a handicapped accessible room in a hotel downtown. So we show up, and we go to the room, and I can barely enter it. In fact, when my parents looked inside the room, they said, there's no way. So it was handicapped accessible for people who were deaf and hearing impaired.
Oh.
Somehow, the specifics of the handicap were not communicated. And then they didn't have any more rooms for us and said, Friday night in New York City in the height of the holiday season, go on Expedia. That's our best advice, to try to find a room. Thankfully, they somehow found us another room in a sister hotel, which worked out fine. But then the next day, we were looking for a place for lunch, and we found a place that said they were handicapped accessible. So they sent me to the side entrance where the kitchen is, set up a portable ramp, and I swear if I went down that, I was taking life and limb. It was not going to be pretty. I was probably going to fall over. It was so steep. So we left and went somewhere else. But it's just a lesson that handicapped accessible means different things in different places, and you always have to be prepared, right? So traveling has definitely become more of an arduous task, just to make sure everything is no surprises, I guess is what I'm saying. So I don't know, there's little things along the way. I mean, telling my children was probably the hardest thing ever. I put that off for months, but they've been awesome. I have 4 kids. They range from age, just little tears.
It's okay.
From 15 to 23. I have 2 in college and 2 in school here, and they've been great. I had an ALS walk to raise money for the ALS Organization, and my daughter Reagan brought her whole soccer team, or most of them, which was awesome. And we did the Ice Bucket Challenge at the Forbes house last August, which was great. And again, my son Chase showed up with a bunch of his friends. So the support that we're getting has been wonderful. So back to the story. When I got to the wheelchair, it was my JV wheelchair. And then you can see now I'm in what I call my varsity wheelchair. And it is so much more comfortable, and I can go up high and I can talk to people standing. When we were in New York, I put on my headlights and I could buzz down Fifth Avenue in the bike lane very comfortably.
Wow.
I think I can take it off-road. I haven't really tried that yet. But a lot of these things, so this, I had to get through insurance, but a lot of my other things, like the JV wheelchair, the rollator, I was able to get through a great organization called Compassionate Care, ALS.
Okay.
They're out of Falmouth, and they loan all kinds of equipment to ALS patients, usually brand new. It's been amazing because it's a very expensive disease.
So you talked about you accept the label because you feel you'll need the help.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me about that. When it started, how did the help come? I know they helped with these walks and the Ice Bucket Challenge,
Sure.
but let's just talk about your daily living, how things have changed in that aspect.
Yeah, well, I moved from my second floor down to the main floor, and I live in an old house. Part of the charm. One of the charming things when we first moved in, our one bathroom on the main floor has some stairs to get down to the bathroom. So that quickly became a problem. But we were able to put in an accessible bathroom, and I moved my bedroom to the main floor. So that's been a big help.
Mm-hmm.
At work, my office has been moved from the top floor to the main floor.
Mm-hmm.
And I work sometimes from home and sometimes from the office, so the flexibility has been wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And then through our church and through the garden club, people have set up meal trains. So we get meal deliveries
Mm-hmm.
during the week, which helps alleviate some of the burden on my husband, who's, not only having to take care of me, but also pick up the slack all around the house,
Mm-hmm.
with the kids.
And do you have any help that comes in?
Believe it or not, my 80-something-year-old mother comes in 3 times a week to help me out.
3 times a week?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And other times to get me to appointments and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
My sister, as we speak, is driving across country from Oregon to help out for like 10 weeks, which would be awesome.
Wow. The reunion, huh?
And a big slobbery dog.
And the what? Big slobbery dog? Is it
Yes.
your dog or her dog?
It's her dog. And I have to tell you, with a cat and a daughter who does not like dogs, and the bigger and the slobbier they are, the worse it is. So we're all going to have to adapt.
Including the pets.
Right. But it'll be worth it.
It'll be fun. You gonna take some time off this summer?
Yes, actually. If I mention one other thing, I have a group of college friends who have been great spending, planning trips kind of doing bucket list things together. So I have had some trips with them. Going back to compassionate care, we're just up there because they have a retreat. And so 2 weekends ago, I was there for a long weekend, and so comfortable and so relaxing. And again, as an ALS patient and with your caregivers, you don't have to pay anything.
Is this the group out of Falmouth again?
Yes.
Oh, so they provide retreats and things like that, not just equipment.
Right.
Wow.
Amazing. So it's hard sometimes to plan trips because I don't know what my abilities are going to be 1 month from now, 3 months from now, 6 months from now. But we are planning a family trip to Maine.
Nice.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Good.
Yeah.
So you got the diagnosis.
Yes.
Was it hard to believe? What did you go through?
Do you know, by the time I got it, probably part of me knew it was coming.
Why do you say that? Because they've been mentioned it to you that was a possibility?
Nobody had said it.
Nobody had said it. Wow.
But actually, my stepmother-in-law had ALS, and they passed away from it about 1.5 years before my diagnosis. And it's just, often ALS diagnosis happens by crossing off other possibilities. I had been watching other possibilities get crossed off one by one. So I was kind of like, this is going to be probably something serious. And then when they said ALS, I was like, ugh. So there was a lot of driving around in my car and crying because I didn't tell people right away.
And you're driving, and you really weren't good with the brake at that time. This was not good, you know.
Right. The windows down with the wind trying to blow away the tears. But I'm going to Mass General for treatment, which I think they're wonderful, absolutely wonderful. And I've been doing a drug study through Beth Israel, and that's also been a great group of people. And there's so many organizations out there to provide support in different ways. I actually think it could be almost a full-time job to try and navigate the ALS world in terms of caregiving and support for me and the caregivers, drug studies, new equipment, all kinds of things, advocacy. But I'm still very much entrenched in my life, my work, my family. So ALS is a part-time job for now, which I'm grateful for, but there's always more to learn and navigate, I guess.
I have a friend that had a heart attack not too long ago. And I said, has life changed for you? And he said, oh, yes. And he was talking about just his outlook and everything.
Sure.
Tell me about how your life has changed on your outlook and things like that.
You know, when I first got diagnosed, I was driving around and I was like, oh my God, the world is so beautiful. I mean, seriously, it's just like looking at things. I was like, this is all amazing. I'm much more patient and easygoing because I have to be. I'm dependent on other people, to help.
Well, you could scream at them.
I could. And I think, you make time. Like my friends and I from college, we're not getting together nearly as often. And now we're trying to get together maybe quarterly. So I think you prioritize things, right? I have a much better work-life balance than beforehand. And I just treasure little moments. And I find that people are just amazing. The way they've reached out in so many different ways, from the small things.
Tell us some of those things. Some of the things that were unexpected that people have done for you and that you have done for them. I mean, remember, it's not a one-way street. What do you think?
So some of the little things, I've been just sending flowers out of the blue. Or just a card even with a note, Or sometimes when I was with my friends from college, I would say, I liked something. I don't know. We went to a museum. There was a cute little thing in the museum store. And afterwards, that appeared on my doorstep. You know, she just took note that I responded to it. My one friend has done, sent little things to help. Like early on, she sent me, oh my gosh, it was like a cane attached to a half a step that was supposed to help me get up the stairs.
It was a what?
A cane attached to
a
like
cane.
half a step.
Okay.
So you lean on the cane and you take like a baby step and then reposition the cane. So you're not taking such big steps.
Okay.
It helps you get up the stairs.
Ah.
Like she would research these things and then send me things. She sent me a little highlight thing from the ALS Association, how to do interviews.
How are we doing?
I think okay. I hope okay. I did check some facts before I showed up. You know, just like, can we get together for coffee? Just spending time.
What are some of the surprises that you've experienced?
You know, people that I haven't talked to in years learn of the diagnosis and reach out to me, which is wonderful. People that have experience of it themselves that you didn't know about. You know, they had a relative or a grandmother who had it. And people that have had other frightening diagnoses like cancer. It seems that we kind of understand each other's journey a little better.
What was your planned journey before this happened? What did you see? What was the old movie?
Good question. You know, it's kind of like somebody asked my daughter, now she's applying to colleges, and they're like, what do you want to do after college? Or where will you be in 5 years? She doesn't necessarily have a specific answer, and nor do I.
Yeah.
But, you know, it was normal stuff, like, gosh, travel. I wish I'd done so much more traveling. That would be my advice to anybody.
What was your dream destination?
I'd really like to go to Machu Picchu.
Oh, okay.
But now, kind of might be possible. I'd like to see the redwood forest. So we'll see about that. But otherwise, just like retiring with my husband, seeing my kids graduate.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I met your daughters at the Milton Music Fest. Remember you had them, they made the bracelets that said, "We are Milton" on the bracelets, out of the little cubes or what is it?
Yes.
I have a picture of them.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So they're growing up now.
They are. So my youngest is a freshman in college. No, sorry, in high school.
Yeah.
And, all right, I will take this.
And how are they doing? How do you think they're doing? I know it's hard for you to tell them, but after that, you know.
They seem to be doing well. They're super helpful. I think will be hard for all of us. So I've kind of plateaued. I've been in a wheelchair for a while, and I can still feed myself. I can still talk, breathe. So I'm still very much the mom they know, just less mobile, right? But I think as it progresses, it'll get harder. But for right now, I think we're all doing pretty good. We don't really talk about it.
No, you don't talk about it that much?
No.
No? Is there anything you'd want them to hear on this video?
Oh, good question.
You know,
people say you should write letters that they can read when you're gone.
Have you?
I've tried, and it's like, oh my God, it's an overwhelming thought. Like, what are the words I want to have,
Right.
here forever? So I haven't completely written that off my to-do list. Probably by the time I feel ready to do it, I won't be talking anymore. But there's still ways to do it. There's eye gaze technology. It'll take longer, but at that point, I'll probably, it'll be kind of a now or never situation. So, but right now I'm kind of pushing it off.
Would you call it eye gate
Eye gaze technology.
Oh, eye gaze.
Yeah.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can type or stuff and.
I think those things are very sensitive, and just with your eye, you can like type out the words one by one.
So you mentioned earlier that the ALS group in Falmouth, what's it called?
Compassionate Care.
Compassionate
ALS.
Care.
Mm-hmm.
Do they told you that ALS patients should always be thinking ahead and kind of preparing for it, and so that's why you had the wheelchair before you need it. What's the next step? What are you preparing for next?
We probably have to start thinking of a caregiver. I mean, whether my sister, after her 10 weeks here, through the Paid Family and Medical Leave Act or whatever that is in Oregon, we'll have to make a decision. Is she going back to her life and her job there, or would she be able to stay indefinitely and help out here? We haven't really looked at other caregiving options. So there's that. There's things like our wills. My will should be updated. And there's probably more equipment we're going to need to get.
Like what?
There's something called a Hoyer lift.
Oh, yes, I'm familiar with that. Okay.
Oh, you are? Yeah. Okay. All right. So.
But the audience might not be, so what do you know about that?
Oh, sure. Okay. So right now I can stand. I can shuffle a little bit with support, but when it gets to the point that I can't really stand and I don't have helpers strong enough to lift me, a Hoyer lift lifts me.
Right. I can lift you into the bed too, right?
Yes.
Into a chair and out of a chair.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And most caregivers can handle it. It's not.
Yeah. I think they make it easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else do you have to plan as far as equipment goes?
Well, we have a van now that not every vehicle can handle a wheelchair like this. It's like between 300 and 400 pounds.
Okay.
So we have a special van, and it was really nice. Somebody had it with multiple sclerosis. They passed it along to someone with ALS for $10. That person passed it along to us for $10, provided that we promised to do the same going forward. But I fear the van is somewhat on its last legs.
They might not want it. Is that what you're saying?
Right.
Well, I hope that's the case. I hope you use it for a long, long time.
Yes.
Or actually need a new one.
I may need a new one. Yeah.
So there's something on the list, right?
Yes.
Possibly a new van.
Right.
Okay.
And there's, as my voice gets weaker, even now when I'm in a large group, a loud group, I feel it's hard to project or it's tiring.
Oh, if someone's loud and you're trying to raise your voice to be heard.
Right. So I just recently received from Compassionate Care a voice amplifier, which it's a very small, almost like an aerobics instructor would wear with a little microphone. And it's attached to a speaker that I would wear, and I can even talk very softly, and it would project my voice to a much, you can set the sound as loud as you need.
So you won't get exhausted.
Right. And that's a big part of it. I refer to it as saving my spoons. I don't know if you ever heard of that expression.
No, I haven't. But maybe some of the audience has.
The idea being that you start out your day with a set number of spoons. And if you use all your spoons in the morning, you're exhausted by the end of the day. So you have to portion out your spoons of energy throughout the day. So I'm just more cognizant of that. I tried to talk less this morning before the interview.
Right.
So I would be able to talk more.
So what else do you want to tell the viewers at home? I mean, I'm sure a lot of your friends will watch this.
Yeah.
And relatives and things. What would you want to tell them?
Well, since it is ALS Awareness Month, I do want to tell people, just in terms of, I saw a stat that about 70% of the people in the U.S. know little to nothing about ALS. So I think being aware of it, I believe the incidence of ALS is going to raise over time. So it's important to know what the signs are and to understand that anyone can get it. Eric Dane, who was McSteamy on Grey's Anatomy, just came public.
I missed that. My daughter would probably know.
Okay, all right. And people can help through advocacy, writing to their representatives to support funding. For example, I know a researcher at Harvard who's studying ALS. Their funding was just cut recently. several organizations focused on ALS research have lost funding. So I think it's important to remind everyone that it's so important. We still don't have a cure. ALS is not an incurable disease, it's an underfunded disease. So we just have to keep up with the research. And there's so many great organizations out there for people to support. They can volunteer, they can donate money, and just show up.
I read some books on cystic fibrosis, and that was a real challenge. And there was a man in Boston that was very involved in raising money for that because his child died with it. And they really had some amazing breakthroughs. They haven't got all of it yet, but they've got they really changed the population. So, and I was reading about the gene therapy and things that they did.
Yeah.
There's gene therapy, I believe, going on in ALS also. And then there's also some research that Northeastern University is very involved in. I don't know if you've heard about Northeastern being involved in
I
ALS
don't know.
research.
Nope.
I was doing a little homework before I came too.
Good.
So
I can always learn more.
you never know. But so as you sit here and you think about your future, do you believe that they're going to be able to come up with something that's going to really extend your life? Or do you think that that's just something that's just, you shouldn't even think about that, you're just getting your hopes up? And
Oh my gosh, hope is so important. You have to keep your hopes up.
Mm-hmm.
I did just hear at my last clinic visit about an expanded access drug that's had really great results. So, I'm looking into the possibility of getting into that drug protocol. It's something that they do when a drug has been, when it's had great early test results, but it hasn't been tested enough to be officially approved and rolled out as a drug treatment. But if you meet certain criteria, you can get in on it early while it's still being tested, but the results are positive enough that it's worth the potential risks.
Okay.
So that is something that gives me hope. Also the fact that more recently, just I think in the time since I've been diagnosed, people with familial or genetic ALS do have a new drug that is significantly slowing progress, if not even reversing it.
Okay.
And crazily enough, there's about 50 cases reported of ALS reversals, where people had this disease, were even further along than I am in terms of losing their abilities, and for no particular reason that anyone can explain, they started going the other way. They started gaining back their function.
Wait a minute. So there was no drug? How did this happen?
They don't attribute it to a specific drug. They think it's just something in the genetic makeup of these individuals that at a certain point, maybe a switch flipped or something, and it started going the other way. So if they can figure that out,
hopeful, right?
right? It could still happen to me. You never know.
Sure.
So, yes, holding out hope for any kind of miracle.
So all of a sudden, that switch when you were in 6 months from now, you were running again. What's the first thing you'd like to do?
Oh my gosh.
What is it you miss the most?
Now you're gonna make me cry again. Hug all my family. That would be the first thing.
So you find it hard to hug them?
The arms don't hug. I can't even really lift them up.
The things we take for granted.
Exactly. And then after I do that, I would love to go on a nice long run.
A nice long run. And not have those legs give out.
Right.
Wow. Well, Heidi, I think you've done a great job sharing. Is there anything else that you want to share with the folks at home that you think would help them understand that this is a difficult journey and that you would like some help? Oh, there is something. You know they have a plate in Massachusetts. Did you know that? A license plate for ALS?
No, I did not.
And as a matter of fact, a woman, Mary Beth May, she's in my neighborhood, her mom had ALS and died from it. And she was involved in getting a plate. You know how you can get a plate for a Cape Cod and things like that?
Yes.
You can get an ALS plate now.
I did not know.
And that might be an easy way for people to, if enough people were to do that, then obviously, I don't know how much money, might $50 or $60 might go towards towards whoever the sponsor is. I don't know what organization gets the money, and that's something I can ask Mary Beth. But I know she was devastated when she lost her mom. And obviously,
it's a great thing she did.
Obviously, this is a result. One of the things that she's done that, you know, to make her feel better, or maybe, I guess, you know, to help others not have to go through this.
Right. That's wonderful.
So, and then you watched all the ice bucket challenges and everything. Was that difficult to watch those? I mean, in the family, what was the gentleman's name that had the ALS in Massachusetts that started from?
Was it Steve Freitag?
It sounds
familiar.
familiar.
It was two gentlemen that started it.
They
both had it, I think.
We saw them on the TV a lot and everything. You know, and as they progressively got more and more impaired, you know, did you watch any of that stuff? Or
you know, I haven't, but I do know that in 2014, my family and I did the ice bucket challenge, so it was kind of strange to look back at that. And I don't know if people made the connection, but ice bucket, when you get dumped on by ice water, you have the sensation of freezing, right? And that's kind of what they're trying to impart, because when you have ALS, it's like your body freezes and you can't move it. So there is some logic behind that, you know.
Okay, now,
quirky little.
I never knew that. But speaking of freezing, have you found that you've lost a lot of weight since you've been diagnosed?
Okay, here's the crazy thing. No.
Okay.
I've gained weight, and my doctors are very happy about that because they don't want you to lose weight.
Yes, that's a challenge.
Yeah. I mean, I'm eating more or less fine, but your muscles, a lot of times, they're like twitching, even when you're just sitting here. So you're like burning calories, you don't realize it. But keeping the weight on keeps feeding your muscles, and seems to have some connection to increased longevity of the disease.
Now, do you lift any kinds of weights or anything like that as therapy, or like even very light weights? Is that part of your routine?
So I go to pool therapy.
Pool therapy.
Yeah. Okay. It's a lovely, like 92-degree pool, and we put little like 1 pound weights on my ankles, and sometimes I have, you know, like floaties, but they add resistance when I'm moving underwater.
Okay.
So. Yeah, I do exercises in the water.
Resistance. Yeah.
And it just, I mean, I can walk in the water. It's still challenging, but...
You can walk on water.
Yeah.
Folks, did you hear that? She can walk on water. What a country, Heidi. I didn't know. This is new to me.
There you go. It's amazing.
Now, do you have a special diet of any kind?
No.
No?
I was told whatever I want to eat it.
Just eat. They just wanted you to eat.
Yeah.
They're really concerned about you losing too much weight.
Right.
So that's a very positive sign.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. So that's hopeful.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
It is.
So, wow. So May is the month, so people can start looking into. That sounds like that organization would that be a good organization for them to donate to?
Oh, I think that would be wonderful.
So it's Compassionate Care ALS in Falmouth?
It is, and I think their website is ccals.org.
Oh, for Cape Cod. Cape Cod?
No, for Compassionate Care.
Oh, I thought you were giving me like an alternate. I'm proud. What? I was Cape Cod ALS. No, but Compassionate Care ALS.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's too bad that that's the closest, you know. I mean, it's amazing that they even are able to give you some benefits here.
Their reach is even broader.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because there are some organizations that will lend wheelchairs and things like that. There's one in Situate that's popular, but like Milton couldn't use them. They like have limits on there.
Yes, that makes sense.
They lend equipment, but they don't go too far, you know.
Yeah.
So you were fortunate. Who teamed you up with them? Your doctors?
I think it was someone at ALS Association, the ALS Association.
And how have you felt about them?
They've been really helpful. They helped me organize the Ice Bucket Challenge at the Forbes house last August. I've been to a support group where one of them was in attendance. She is definitely my contact at the organization. It's a huge organization, but I have one contact who is very much out in the community, out there to, I have any questions, I can email her, she gets right back to me. She's just been a great, accessible person that is available in lots of different ways. So
it's been a good organization.
Yeah, yes, it really has.
And do they keep you updated, give you newsletters or things like that, tell you what's going on as far as research and trials and stuff?
Yeah, I don't know if it's through the ALS Association, but I have an email that comes every day with some updates or some like blog posts by individuals with ALS or their caregivers. So they have webinars that people can participate in, different events. So there's always a lot of news coming into my inbox.
Are you a member of any groups with other ALS patients that you talk to each other and kind of learn from each other or not?
Not yet. I find a lot of the ALS support groups tend to meet during the day when I'm busy or at night when I'm tired. So I haven't really embraced that yet. I did go to an event, a fundraiser downtown for ALS TDI last fall. That stands for Therapy Development Institute. So they're a nonprofit that does research on ALS therapies. And I met some great women there who had the disease, and we exchanged emails and talked about staying in touch, but I haven't really. Sure. But I look forward to seeing them again sometime. And I did get in touch with a woman when she was newly diagnosed. The ALS Association asked me to talk to her. She was younger, has 2 young kids. So, if I can help other people the way I've been helped, I'm happy to do that.
Set up an ALS hotline in the house. What are you thinking going forward? Have you thought of anything you'd like to do? Any kind of a fundraiser or anything? You did the Ice Bucket Challenge. Do you have anything else on your radar that you're contemplating doing?
The Ice Bucket Challenge was fun. And it was so well received in the community. I'm thinking about doing another one in August.
All right.
But I haven't started thinking about the specifics just yet. But
what would you do differently than the one you already did? Did you learn anything from it that makes you want to do it, but maybe on a different scale?
We needed more ice.
Okay.
By the end of it, we didn't have enough ice. Yeah, I don't know. It was a great event. We had a local group, the Dark Crushes. They volunteered their time and played.
The Dark Crushes? It's a band?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah. And the food truck that we asked to come didn't show up, so we had a...
You have to be a brewery to get those.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I don't know what I would do differently. That money was raised for ALS TDI. So I'd probably, spread the wealth a little bit and pick a different recipient organization. But again, I was just so amazed with how many people supported it, either by just giving a plaque donation or by participating. It was really wonderful.
So you talk about the ice and the cold and then how that came up.
Yeah, sure.
Speaking of that, do you feel colder, just in general? Do you feel that you want more heat and everything? Just because of the disease, does it make you be chilly more often than you were before?
It definitely affects my circulation.
It does.
At the end of the day, my feet are very swollen, my ankles are swollen, and the winter was tough because things would get numb, and when they get numb, your muscles are even harder to move. And
the muscles are what?
Harder to move.
Okay.
Yeah. So on a regular basis, my lower legs and feet tend to be colder than the average person. Right. So I'm very much looking forward to the warm weather.
Do you sleep a lot more than most people now, or more than you did before?
I probably sleep more than I did before. I could probably sleep more.
Is it restful?
I get into positions that can be uncomfortable and I can't move myself. So I have to either wake up my husband or he has a hard time getting back to sleep when I wake him up.
So you try not to, but...
So yes, exactly. I do have a bed where the head and the feet can be lifted. That is helping. But it's just, I never go a whole night without waking up a couple times. And trying to figure out how to get comfortable.
Do you wake up worrying? Are you a worrier?
I am a worrier, but I don't wake up worrying. I think I try not to think about the future. I think that's part of how I'm coping. I try to stay positive and in the moment, for the most part. Yeah, and it helps have little things to look forward to.
Were you ever accused of having OCD?
No, why do you ask?
Because I would imagine that would be difficult now.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
there's so much you have to just let go. I mean, my house is such a mess because I can't, do the cleaning I used to, and my family was used to me doing a lot, and now
they didn't learn.
That's my own fault.
See, you need to train the others just in case.
Yes.
See,
exactly.
there's a tip for the audience. Oh, that's funny.
My yard. I wish I could get out there and work in the yard. But yeah, sometimes you just have to let it go.
Did you have any hobbies before this?
Running was a hobby. I like to do half marathons or shorter races. I was in the garden club. I still am, but obviously able to do less.
So you enjoy flowers? You like flowers?
I do, yeah. And now one of my new hobbies, which makes me feel very old, is bird watching.
Is bird watching?
I haven't really gotten into it, but I did just get an app so I can identify bird songs. So that's fun.
It is fun. My wife does that.
Okay, does she?
And when you turn it on, they start talking back and they can hear it.
Oh, I haven't tried that yet.
Yeah, you can see. It's kind of interesting.
Fun. Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a sign. That's a sign. Yeah.
I was doing yoga before, active things, I guess. Were more in my wheelhouse for a while. Yeah. And then it's just a lot of time watching my children in sports because they're all very active themselves.
So now do you try to get to more of those events now?
Yes.
That's kind of a real...
Absolutely.
push.
Yeah, there are times where I'd be like, oh, I can't leave work today to see a game, but now I prioritize the game and I say work can wait. Usually. Well, good. And you find that things are fine at work and you've been able to keep going without a hitch? Yeah, for the most part. I have we increased our staff from 2 people to 3, so I think that's helping. And again, people are just very understanding, right? And helpful. I think sometimes there's still people that don't know I have ALS, and I might be talking to them on Zoom and everything's fine. And then when they meet me in person, it's a little bit of a shock. But it's hard to know, I usually try to give people some sort of warning before they meet me.
You don't try to surprise anyone?
Yeah. I was in a museum not that long ago, and a gentleman with a cane asked me, so why are you in a wheelchair? And I had no problem. I said, I have ALS, but of course when somebody hears that, it's quite shocking. And he didn't quite know what to do. And the people that were with me were almost incensed. Why did he ask you that? What an awkward question. I don't necessarily take it that way.
Sure.
I'd almost rather address the elephant in the room. If you want to know about the wheelchair, I'll tell you all about it.
Have you pulled any pranks on anyone?
Ha! Oh my gosh. No, not really.
Okay.
Right. But if you can think of any good ones, it might spice up my life a little bit.
There you go. All right, well, folks, you've been watching a special edition of Talk of the Town with Heidi Vaughan. And I hope you enjoyed hearing from her. I know I have.
Thank you.
Heidi, is there anything else you'd like to say to the audience before we go?
I guess if you stuck through the program, just thank you very much. And don't be afraid to say hi to me or talk to me when you see me.
You don't bite?
I'm still the same person. Yes, I don't bite.
Well, great. Again, thank you very much. My name is Brian Kelley. Thank you for watching Talk of the Town. Have a great day.